you said perfectly. Good afternoon. I would like to thank, sorry, I cannot see my slides. I would like to thank Sam and Marcus, who are part of this group, and they are sitting, or maybe in the other room. Yeah, they are having fun there. Okay. Which are the activities of this group of people? So first of all, our purpose is really to support the code design of solutions that are close to the data. And the purpose is to make the data, more closer to specific application or to a typology of user, more suitable for further applications. For example, can we say something about the current conditions of windstorms over Europe so that this information can then feed back or feed downstream of us information about, impact in terms of costs and damages? We also provide a collection of examples, demonstrators, good practices, stories. So in practice, the idea is to scale up solutions or to have the possibility to scale up solutions that are relevant maybe in other contexts. But also, very importantly, we try to understand what the different typology of users need, and we feed back to the data. If you have seen the presentation by Carlo the first day, there was this double arrow. So for example, from the energy sector, can we say something when we produce the next reanalysis in terms of which variables to include, which vertical levels, which resolution? How we do it? So we first engage, of course, with the community of users, and this we do it through working with the user engagement group that is led by Sten Vermote. We also kind of trying to provide guidance to a different typology of users. For example, how could I put together information from this huge amount of climate projections, for example. We are, of course, we build our solutions on the C3S infrastructures. And this means that we are really tied to the evolution of the infrastructure itself, the toolbox and the CAEDS. And again, we try to implement solutions that are also based on current research. And this is thanks to the big community of researchers, experts, scientists that contribute to our activities. And finally, why should the users come to us somehow? Or let's say, when are they coming back to us? So first of all, they come back when the solutions proposed are robust. But I would say that the most important thing is that there should be a demonstrated added value on top of that. Finally, of course, we have many requirements in terms of needing to evolve and being flexible. And also, we know that users who would like to use and take inspirations on our solutions, of course, they also need the possibility to tailor, and they also ask for support. This slide was just to highlight some achievements. In general, I do not like to use numbers as a way of monitoring the status or to evaluate. But somehow putting some numbers gives also the idea of how much effort there has been behind the activities that we find at C3S. And also I would like to highlight the numbers that is on the top, this number here in the green area. Just to highlight that we have been populating the user requirement database of the Copernicus of C3S, and so more than a half of the requirements come from the activities of the Sectoral Information System group. I would like this in the next 2-3 slides just to highlight, to give information about a few highlights of what we achieved in different sectors. This is not exhaustive, it's really just a snapshot and a selection. So on the left-hand side, you see for the water sector, we are now running a set of a probabilistic pan-European and global hydrological seasonal forecast. So those are two different contracts that look at providing information for the water sector. In the first phase, we were also delivering some information and also looking at the climate projection timescale. And please go to see the poster of Peter and Stefan. I'm not sure they are in this room right now. But also tomorrow we will have the presentation by Sean. Yeah, I like this application. For the energy sector, we, in the previous phase of Copernicus, we offered information about climate and the energy systems. And now we are in the phase of enhancing this information by including, different technical things like extending to the global scale, extending back in time. But also, I would like to say that the extension is based on connection with specific key users. So, for example, in this case, we engaged with the European Network Transmission System Operator. Another highlight is for the agriculture sector. In the previous phase, we produced some information at the global scale, and Luigi was mentioning today in his question about this AG ERA5 dataset, and this is mentioned in the top, in the first line of this left-hand side slide. So in practice, we are talking about climate forcing data ready for experts to run crop models on, but there are also informations about indicators looking at the climate projections timescale. And again, some not real-time information on Earth observation-based indicators that could be relevant for monitoring, of course. And then again, in the Copernicus one, we also, let's say, added other information under the form of applications, more flexible applications for this sector. In this case, is the possibility to have information on agroclimatic indicators. So this design was inspired and taken from the LIFE project AgriAdapt, and actually was there also to demonstrate that we can build applications that run in an interactive way on the data, in the infrastructure, and also with some flexibility in terms of threshold, for example. Another couple of highlights are for the insurance and for the health sector. So for the insurance, on the left-hand side, you see we offer information in terms of storms and also associated to downscaling and footprinting, and examples on how it is possible to combine the hazard information, the exposure, and the vulnerability to retrieve economic losses. And for the health, you see here a list of things that you can find today in the Climate Data Store. At the moment, let's say this, there is this amount of information now. A lot of this information is now feeding the Health Climate Hub, but you will have more information in the next session. Please go to the Julie Leterre presentation. Let's say at the moment, we do not have specific plan about how to extend or evolve for the health sector. We have a lot of requirements, but there is not a clear plan. Another couple of highlights that are presented here under successful stories. So the first one is related to Julian's presentation, so I'm not going to repeat, but this was the first time we were doing a monitoring exercise that was trying to go closer to, let's say, the needs of a specific sector and community of users, in this case, the wind. The second highlight is related to the IRENA presentation that you have seen this morning. This is a very nice example that happened downstream of us of how reanalysis data can be successfully used for solving or for specific studies relevant again to this sector. And again, another successful story is related to the connection that we have with the European Environment Agency, and this is the build of the European Climate Data Explorer. You may see that there is a poster also available, and tomorrow we have the presentation by Christiana. Okay, so this is an initiative, between EEA and C3S. The idea is, of course, to respond to the requirements of the climate adaptation community. And the plan, of course, is to continue to establish this connection to make it more operational. Finally, a couple of words on other ongoing next activities. I think Freya mentioned the extreme events. And again, the idea is to try to put some order or to give some structures to the different information that is available. On top, you see information that comes from the windstorms, so extremes on the wind. But also, to try to build together a catalog of extreme events in kind of a near real time, covering different data like precipitation or heat waves. As well as providing more flexible tools to calculate these ETC-CDI indicators. Thanks, Gerard, for the acronym. And somehow also, we also learned that for the infrastructure sector, it is very important to give information about extremes as return periods. Yes, thank you. the last point is that in this phase, we also work in a slightly different manner. So for example, we work in closer connection with some specific user. In this case, the European Investment Bank, and you will have a presentation of Edward Kaltrop tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow, yeah. We work directly with ENTSO-E, already mentioned this, the European Network Transmission System Operators. We also collaborate directly with the Union for Mediterranean, and we will present some of those results at the COP27. And finally, I would like to mention that all the activities that we do will also feed the maybe upcoming national collaboration program. You will know more from Christina later in this session, the next session. And finally, we would like to contribute to the thematic hubs. I think this was, sorry, I had the last slide, apologies. So, yeah, about challenges and opportunities. So somehow I think that the C3S, we are a group that is, let's say, kind of creative group. So we really build solution on top of all these many ingredients that we have available. And of course, this presents some challenges, but also opportunities. If you think, for example, the toolbox, we are heavy users of the toolbox. We strongly depend on its evolution. So this, I mean, the new toolbox will offer us a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, we have to take into consideration that things that were developed in the previous phase will not be any more compatible with the new one. We would like to continue to connect with the EU research agenda. You know that ECNWF is already very well involved in different levels in projects, and we would like to maintain this connection to implement further solutions. When we think of adaptation in many different sectors, I mean, this problem is really a bottom-up problem, so we have to take into consideration the difficulty related to the local complexities. And somehow we would like to explore the opportunities connected to the decadal timescale. I think tomorrow there is a session, and there will be a presentation from Anka and also from Paco covering the decadal timescales. And finally, we will continue to feed back to the CADS products and tools. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Chiara. Where is the mic? Here it is.
Yes, thank you. Very interesting. You mentioned the NTSOE, so the people managing the grid, and they also manage all of the data. They gather a lot of data, like real data from real production of wind farms and stuff.
Yep.
And I was wondering how much then you would possibly use this data that would help understand the product that Julian talked about. For example, how much does it compare with reality? And I also wanted to mention that maybe another stakeholder that's of interest to you are the people from the EU Science Hub, because they are really experts, at least some of them, into energy markets. And so there's a whole world behind this ENTSOE, and I was wondering how much you want yourself to get into this, you know, in particular about validating your models.
Yes, thank you very much for your question. So concerning ENTSO-E, we are now running a current contract indeed. And in that case, what we do is, of course, putting together the climate information and the energy information through specific models. Of course, they are both physical models or statistical models, and the ENTSO-E data are used to train those models or to work with these statistical models. So the information is there in this sense. But we are also operating in making the information that is available today closer to their needs. For example, they need to have information about the future possible climate evolution for their adequacy assessment scenarios. And for that, they do not have the capacity in-house to make processing close to the climate data. And in this sense, we establish with them a connection so that we offer them, on the climate side, all the expertise and also the possibility to make those calculations fit for their specific purpose. Related to your second question is, yes, how it would be interesting to connect with the EU hub. And maybe your question was more related to which is the limit, so how far we are planning to stay. So I would say that our activities, again, are very much toward the climate expertise. So our role is really to support all this typology of users on the use of the climate data or build solutions on the climate. But then anything that's happened downstream is happening afterwards. And I would say that the new toolbox will be I don't know why. Yeah, Alessandro is there. The new toolbox will be very relevant in this respect because it will be possible also, for example, to establish and having applications that work online but also offline, and so integrating other data that we do not own and we are not responsible of will be much easier.
Chiara, thank you so much.
It was too long.